How critical is renters assistance, rent moratorium, and free grant money? And will Congress come to their senses in late July and pass a comprehensive bill? Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check and stimulus package update today. Great news about renters assistance. From whether it's a state level, local level, or federal extension under a second stimulus package. Let's get right to it. In the last few days, I asked viewers to reach out and share with one another if there are grant programs on a local jurisdictions, and they have. If you know more of them, drop in the comments below. We detailed one viewer earlier this week who was in Texas, and he had known that he was having problems making rent. He was facing eviction, and he understood that a second stimulus package proposes to give a grant for rent, but understood that a second stimulus package may not get approved until August. So he understood he was under a time crunch. He realized by watching local news that in Dallas, where he is, that they had a grant program. He applied for it and he got the grant money. He got free money to make his rent. What's really great news is that there's a lot of other grant programs out there. They're on both a local level and a state level. They are sometimes for your places of worship, and they're sometimes for different ethnic groups that are set up. The data is really quite interesting. The HEROES Act, which is currently in the Senate from the House, proposes a lot of plans. The timing of the plans is the only thing that worries me. It worries me because by all likelihood, a HEROES Act will be approved on or around August 8th. And I'm worried about some of my viewers that are going to get in trouble by then. But let me go over the HEROES Act. The HEROES Act has assistance in many different regards. First, free rent. This would be free rent to any person who cannot make rent because of the pandemic. Free utilities. This is free utilities for anyone who can't make utilities during the pandemic. No foreclosures for your home. So if you own your home and you can't make mortgage, no foreclosures. Fourth, no eviction. So if you can't make rent as a tenant, you can't be evicted under this moratorium. The concern about evictions is real, and I have been detailing it for you. I want you to be informed and educated. There's no sugarcoating about evictions. There's nothing good news about evictions. The situation for evictions is that there's currently only about 50% of U.S. states that have a block on evictions, meaning that they cannot accept evictions at this time. Those eviction blocks, called moratoriums, have been passed in states like Delaware, where it says you cannot evict anyone in our state while the pandemic is going on. But unfortunately, in the other half of the United States, they can evict people. So what is going on? What's happening here is really quite discouraging. The number of evictions in these states where there's no moratoriums have really risen. We now see the cases at somewhere between 20 to 30 or 40 million new cases in a matter of a few weeks. And we haven't seen a number of eviction cases like that since the Great Recession of the 1990s. There's a new report out today, and when I say these things, it's sort of like how do you use the adjective correctly for it? The report is good in that it is a report being pushed in the faces of members of Congress who are going to vote on your second stimulus package. So what's good about that is they are seeing this report, and the report is in their face, and the report is basically saying you have to pass a rent assistance program. The bad news is what's in the report. The bad news is that the report shows a very bad situation. The new report, which was issued by the National Low Income Housing Coalition, called our Out of Reach report, says that minimum wage workers cannot afford rent in any U.S. state currently. Full-time wage workers cannot afford a two-bedroom rental anywhere in the United States and cannot afford a one-bedroom rental in 95% of U.S. counties. The report released minutes ago, obtained by LALATE, says affordable rentals are no more cheaper than anything else. How bad is it? It means that the average hourly worker who makes 18.22 an hour, 18.22 an hour, cannot afford rent, the report says. Quote, grocery store cashiers earn a median of 11.61 an hour, while building cleaning workers and home health care and professional aides earn about 12.94 an hour. It says that's not sufficient. Last year found that a two-bedroom was not affordable anywhere in the country, putting the 2019 wages at about $22.96 for a two-bedroom rental and $18.65 for a one-bedroom rental. So it shows that people are, before this pandemic, before second stimulus check, before second stimulus package, we're not making enough money to make rent. Pre-existing structural injustices are at issue. It says Black Americans comprise 40% of people experiencing homelessness in 2019. Although they are just 13% of the population, Hispanic and Latinos are 18% of the population experiencing 22% homelessness. The concern is the following, that those are numbers before the pandemic. People, when employed before the pandemic, were not making enough money to make rent. So where are we on this? Where we are on this is sort of a mindset, and I've been trying to focus you on that today in today's videos, which is so important. The mindset is, wait, we can't have our citizens homeless during a pandemic. Both sides say that. That's a good thing. The other thing is the Democrats say, okay, we need to give them benefits, unemployment assistance, renters assistance, rent grants, free utilities. Because if you don't, they're homeless. That is on one side. The Republicans on the other side say, okay, yeah, maybe, but we don't want them to get rich on it. We don't want them to do better than they were doing before. Well, this report actually undoes that claim and undermines that argument. What this report is saying is that before the pandemic, before people were unemployed, they had a job, but that job was not helping them make rent either. So what's interesting about this is the following. You have people before a pandemic who are not making enough money to make rent. Now they've lost their jobs. 40% of people who make less than $40,000 or less are now have lost their jobs. They've lost their jobs. So they have not made money and they have no income coming in. And you have Republicans saying, we can't give them more money because they'll be rich and they won't they will do better off than they did before. It doesn't work because before they literally couldn't survive either. It's not like what's wrong with the Republican argument is you're giving them so much money, they're going to live in a lap of luxury. No. What you're doing is you're ensuring that they can survive. Because the new housing report out today that I just cited suggests that even before the pandemic, they barely could survive and weren't surviving. They were below, they were not able to make rent. So the HEROES Act proposes to give grants for people who cannot not make rent during the pandemic, and that grant money would go right to the landlords. 2, give them free utilities, and that utilities would go right to the utility companies. 3, ensure that landlords get their rental income. So the rent from the tenant would go right to the landlord. The landlord would get their rental income. 4, ensure that no one in this entire food chain would suffer a foreclosure. So if you own your home, you wouldn't lose your home to foreclosure. There would be no foreclosures allowed. 2, ensure that there's no evictions allowed, so landlords couldn't evict you, and why would they evict you? Because they would get their money for rent under the grant program. Next, that landlords, like apartment building owners, would not be foreclosed upon themselves by their banks, because they would have a protection under the second stimulus package. So it's really quite good. Everyone up on this food chain is getting protected. We've detailed this as what's called the financial cliff. The financial cliff of late July is really, it is so overwhelming because there's so many things ticking at the same time. Unemployment benefits running out, mortgage and loan forbearances and renters assistance running out, student debts no longer on hold. Utility bills no longer on hold. Eviction moratorium's gone. All these things are expiring at the same time. And yet Nancy Pelosi may have come in and literally said what the best things I've heard in a few days, which is, you are not going back on vacation. You are not going back on vacation. How dare you go back on vacation? You are not going back on vacation in August because you got to get the second stimulus package passed. Come on with it. It's really great words to come from Nancy Pelosi. So what viewers have sometimes asked me are, do any of these programs conflict with anything else? No. Renters assistance doesn't conflict with anything else. It does not conflict with a second stimulus check or PUA or UI or EIDL or PPP or any of those other things. My concern for the viewers of this channel is very simple. Ensure that you have enough to get by until a second stimulus package is approved, because we have a couple of weeks. I'm not going to sugarcoat that for you. That involves the issue of making rent over the next couple of weeks. I know some viewers aren't making rent. I see it in the comments. If you have comments below, say where you are, say where you live, mention if you're having problems, and one another's will help. And hopefully the spirit of this channel, people start helping each other, and we'll simply go on Google and type in and see if there's a grant in your area for you. See if there is a moratorium on evictions in your area for you if you don't know, if you're having problems figuring out how to look it up. The spirit of this channel is helping one another. A lot of people have done really great things in the last 24 hours for EIDL. I know that's for businesses. It may not be for you, but the spirit of this channel has been so overwhelming. I do my best that I can, and everything that I'm personally able to get done in a 24-hour period. Since Thursday, I've had now 5 businesses I've saved just since Thursday. They had $0 in the bank. They literally tell me they had $0 in the bank, and I was able to get their EIDL loans, and now they're averaging about $150,000 to $160,000 loans, fully funded today, Tuesday. I've saved their businesses. I've saved their lives. I can only do so much, and so I implore, I ask, I plead that the viewers of this channel help one another. The haters you can see on the sidelines. We don't need you. We need people to help one another, because ultimately a lot of these things can be done. We just need one another to help each other. And that's the inspiration of this channel. One another, helping one another. We're not competing for things. We're not up against each other. There's not a limit of this and a limit of that. We're all here to help each other. And so if you see there's a grant or loan program in your town, post it in the comments. If you see if you are part of the Jewish American League or the NAACP and you see a grant program for rent in your area, post it. If you saw, I remember someone told me, and I posted it a few weeks ago, there was a program for LA residents who are near the trains. There was a grant then. I think it's gone now. I posted it. Post these things, because I rather have viewers of this channel get the money than someone else, because you are my family. As always, drop comments below, and stay positive, stay motivated, stay informed, and stay with LA for more.